on a... We're good? Didn't sound like it. Sounds odd to me.
Well,
it sound odd.
We had a little hiccup in the system. We do that every day at 1 o'clock, I feel like. They send us some spike on the internet.
Did it sound odd to you?
Yes.
Does it sound normal
sure.
now?
Yes.
Now it seems normal. Yeah, it didn't.
And we're back.
Yes.
So's this team.
So is
and
this
everybody
team.
got a look. It's good to see. Good to see everybody out there slinging it around, doing some ball plays, some guys talking, coach talking. We'll have all of it for you. This is the second OTA, the first that was wide open for the media to get a look at things, and there was a lot to like.
There's just, and we're going to hear the word aura be said later on. Greg Newsome is going to say that about Deshawn Watson. There's an aura around him as a leader. There's an aura around this team. It just feels, the way that I would describe it is that everything feels easy. The way Deshawn Watson throws the football feels easy. The way that Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Bell are running their routes and catching the ball seems very easy. Obviously, the running backs, you don't see a lot of that in the OTAs, but Kareem Hunt running routes today had a great angle route, which was unbelievable. It just looked easy. And then to flip it around, because really the highlights of this period, like the only intense portions or semi-intense are 7-on-7. So it's the passing game. You flip it around. This back seven is fast.
Mm-hmm.
They are long. They are athletic. And they make it look very easy as well. And so it's a team right now that in the early stages is hitting the ground running, which is very complimentary of obviously Deshaun Watson, his quickness to pick up this offense, the things that they're doing there, and same with Amari Cooper, who stands out every single day. And then on defensively, it's that you got guys who have been playing together now for a couple of years. And it just looks good. They look good, and they look like they very much enjoy each other. They look very unified. They look on the same page. There are not a lot of mental mistakes. There were two that I can think of, and those people were jettisoned right away. But it just looked easy. Things look. I think when people come out here to training camp, and you get more coverage, obviously the mandatory mini camp that's coming up in the middle of June. That's what I would say about this team. This looks like a team where things look easy. That's not to say they're not working to make it look easy. That's not to say there's not a lot of great competition, and I'll go through people who you may not be that familiar with that have been standing out to me on both sides of the football in the last 2 days. But it just feels like there is a calm, there is a purpose. And like I said, Jadavian Clowney was out there today. I talked to him. We're going to have that interview for you on the Hey, Peepaw.
Doing a lot of work.
I teed you up right there because Beau's going to be really happy with this.
I heard it. I just wanted it to come out of your pie hole.
I don't think you did. It's just good.
But good cover. Great.
Don't you dare tell me that the first interview that airs with Jadavian Clowney is going to air on the Ibs Boys production. That's the fact of this. That's how this is happening.
Maybe.
Okay, at what point is that show? I mean, so for example, like let's just pretend that I did something else in addition to this show. I did another show.
That was number one on the market. No big deal.
You said it. Can't spike itself. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
So let's just say that happens. Okay. I would be the star of that show, and so my name would be on the show, and it would be potentially the Beau Bishop show, the Bishop and guests, Bishop and friends, perhaps.
Perhaps. By the way, nice ring to that one.
Nice ring to it. So then you say to yourself, maybe it's time to, instead of it being the best podcast available, that the show is Zegura and Friends. Because it feels to me like, is there a show without you?
Again, I don't dispute the numbers.
I like where you're going. That's where I thought you were going with this was you're going to get, Ryan Day is going to join your program in this other market that you do it in
this
here.
Imaginary
and then
market
you had
situation.
Like Bishop and Friends, #1 rated, the flagship, the enterprise. You're the star of it. But then you're going to have like the first interview you've ever done with Ryan Day on Bishop and Friends happen on the Friends podcast.
The Friends podcast is
Separate.
Take the two kids that are the friends, and then they can talk to Ryan Day.
Yeah. But then you'll come in and do the interview.
I would come in and do the interview on
and
theirs.
actually on there. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that. There's two ways to both of those yarns work.
Yeah, they're great.
I think, by the way, both work.
We're going to get it here on Browns Daily. Don't worry.
Look,
it's the Nathan Zegura show on the Cleveland Browns Daily.
You get your marching orders.
No, that's right.
And the pivot from yours truly is
to get me to do them.
To get him to do it.
Bravo
because
to
then
you.
I could dual purpose it.
Yeah. You'll get it.
Oh,
listen.
I understand how the hot dog is made.
The sausage.
Rest assured.
Yes. There's no doubt that you do.
Yeah.
But what the good part about it is that I did talk to him. Me.
Yeah, you.
And thus.
Will we air it on this show?
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. But what I can
hopefully while it's still timely.
Yes.
Yeah. But what I'm going to do right now.
Yeah. He's exasperated.
What I'm going to do right now.
But you had ice cream last night.
I'm so happy. What a win for you.
I was so happy about
God,
this
it was
morning.
great videography as well.
Yeah.
We were literally driving to my brother-in-law's house, and I flagged the dude down. I literally jumped out the street. I was like, I need you to come over here so I can get a video. He's like, you're videoing my truck? I'm like, yes.
Of course
Yes,
you did.
I bet he was surprised.
And he was probably nervous about it.
Oh, my God.
He was probably
please
nervous
don't
about
take
it.
But I just want you to know, by the time we had finished ordering, because we bought my brother-in-law's family ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, there were 4 other adults in line. There were no kids.
It's a pretty
Nothing
good
but adults.
It's a pretty good margin when you start seeing what you can buy that for at Costco and then what you sell it for on an individual price basis.
Yes.
It's a nice margin out of the ice cream truck. So that was I did see that this morning. I was off social last night, but I did see it this morning, and that was a welcome smile to see Gibby so proud.
Oh, so pleased, and it brought a lot of joy to some people. Some people thought that the footage actually backed up my initial position on the matter, but that's neither here nor there.
It did feel like, and I do think it's important for you and I that, and we don't lose many of these. It does feel like you are losing this one
in the court of public.
In the court of public opinion.
No doubt.
In most instances, I feel like it's an overwhelming victory for us.
Yeah.
In this instance, I do feel like we're taking it a little on the chin.
I also feel like, though, that our position is being mischaracterized. We are not against ice cream trucks. I'm just saying the notion of it and
the idea
of it is just a little weird. That's all.
It's a little weird.
That's all.
I think in retrospect, you probably have that right.
I think you can agree with that and still love
the
ice cream truck. I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
No, I don't think so either. And the draw of them is stunning. My oldest had his last lacrosse practice last night. They brought a Kona truck at the end.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't get the kids to leave the thing. They wouldn't leave. I'm like, all right, practice has been over for let's go.
Yep.
Move it along.
Grab your stuff. Let's go.
So, that all being said, back to the original point, which was that I did talk to Jadavian Clowney today, and so I will share with you a couple of things that jumped out to me from our interview.
If you will.
Yes, that's right. Number one, this is where he always wanted to be. It was just a matter of the timing of him coming back. This is what he wanted to do. This is where he wanted to be. Miles wanted him back. He wanted him back. And the second was that the second that Deshawn Watson was traded to the Cleveland Browns, he texted Deshawn Watson and said, "You've got another one coming with you." So if you want to go ahead and do some of the timing on that and map that out for yourself, as we said many times on this program, every day that goes by that he didn't sign somewhere else made it more likely he'd be a Cleveland Brown. Really, the key takeaway was there. He was always going to be a Cleveland Brown.
That's right.
And now he is, and he was back out there at practice and had a great time around the guys. But
I like what Coach said about it, too. Like, not only is he an incredibly productive football player, but he's really loved in the building. Like the team loves him. So there's that part of it, too. There is a magnetism to him that's very real and very tangible. And it's amazing how, just going into just his second year here, the type of impact he's had inside the building.
There's no doubt. And I think that that's something that he's enjoying the familiarity, likes the scheme, likes being back. And then I asked him, what's the goal? 2 words. Second one rhymes with goal.
Yeah, I figured it might.
Super Bowl.
That's right.
Super Bowl.
And I think that's when you think about what's trying to be done here, understand that that's what's trying to be done. And that this is a football team that has been put together, really with 2 separate regimes, a couple of coaching staffs, but now very clearly in one vision, all rowing in the same direction with one ideal on what football can be played at the highest level and what it looks like. And Watson, the defensive pieces signed last offseason, and now you couple Deshawn Watson being a part of this football team, you now have an ability to beat people in a lot of different ways, and you can be dynamic both offensively and defensively. You are going to be a defense that nobody's really going to have a whole lot of interest in playing in, a playmaking defense. This is they're game wreckers on this defense. And now you've added number 4 on offense, and just some of the stuff I saw this morning, just the stuff going around on social with Nick and Kareem both in the backfield, faking to them both, rolling out, hitting Cooper. You're like, well,
yeah,
there's a lot going on here. That's something that we couldn't have done in previous years.
No, we've got an RPO game. The thing that I think is going to jump out, I'm curious to see if anybody else who was watching today's practice has this take. Here's a take for you. The middle of the field is back. We did not utilize the middle of the field in the passing game.
Which was so strange because Baker did early in his career,
2018,
but it went
sure.
away.
Yeah.
But it went away. I mean, you think about that first drive against the Jets early that year, his
darts.
rookie, it was all darts over the middle, and then it went away. We ignored it.
And today, there was a ton of action in the middle of the field. Deshawn Watson obviously not afraid to target the middle of the field, and he's incredibly accurate, and there was success there. There are also a lot of good plays by this defense, and sometimes they pull up on a play that they would, they'll say, we would have gotten our hands on the ball there. But flipping it around, this back seven, right now they're starting with Greedy, they're starting with Denzel on the outside, and Greg Newsome on the inside. Now, for the first time that I've ever seen, you know who else got some work inside? Denzel Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Denzel Ward was working inside sometimes with the second team, and you would have Denzel inside, and then you could have Greedy or Greg outside, or MJ Emerson was outside, AJ Green. Those were the people that were working outside, and Denzel would then go inside. So he's getting some slot reps as well.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense because you think about how the NFL has evolved. I mean, look where Cooper Kupp did a lot of his work.
Of course, all in the slot.
It's all in the slot. So so you want to have your best on best when you can, and this is perhaps showing a little tip that maybe we could be heading that way more.
Potentially. And by the way, I think Greg Newsome is a stud. I'm just going to come out and say that right now. I think Greg Newsome looks great out there. I think he and Denzel have an opportunity to be not one of, but the best tandem in the league. I think that highly of Greg Newsome, and I definitely think that highly of Denzel Ward already. The speed now at linebacker with Owusu Koromoa and a healthy Jacob Phillips along with Anthony Walker stands out. Delpit looks great like a veteran. John Johnson's looking good. You got Ronnie back. Rich LeCounte has taken some steps. It's just there's speed and length everywhere on this defense. And now you've got the guys up front. Now that you've got Clowney back, along with, of course, Miles, you got some opportunities for guys in the interior of this defensive line. And Clowney has noted to me in the interview is already a big fan of and is trying to mentor early on Perrion Winfrey. He already is like, I already like this guy. I think he's going to be. Yeah. I think he can do big things for our defense. So he's trying to take him under his wing, which I think is a good thing. I enjoyed being out there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Look,
I liked watching it. I liked this team. I like the demeanor of the team. We've been a team in the past that, and it works, right? And it's a very Cleveland thing that has had a big chip on its shoulder.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That felt like it had something to prove.
Yeah.
This feels like a team that is confident in its strengths and is going to work to make sure that they are able to maximize those gifts because the gifts are aplenty out there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we've been, one of the things that we revel in is this, this plucky little underdog, blue collar, all this thing. This is from a talent standpoint, this team is a supernova. And in terms of the way people view us, it's not going to be very favorably, and I think we'll thrive in that as well.
Totally.
And I think that this team will be fine with it, and obviously the organization is going forward, and I think that's a role that you'll be more than fine in as this thing goes along and you get into it. But it is a stunning difference just seeing what Watson does. He is what you thought he was. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's so dangerous. He has so many weapons about him. He's so confident. It feels like everything that he does is pretty damn effortless. And it seems like in years past, even, and this isn't necessarily just limiting it to just Baker, but in years past, we labored to do some of the simple things. And that doesn't feel like the case anymore. There's a very ease of going about your business that you see out there. So it's second day of OTA.
And they're in right. We're in shorts. This isn't football and all of that.
But it's fun.
Well aware.
Yeah.
But I believe that when we play the audio today, there are 2 things that jump out to anybody that is around. Number one, that this group has rallied around their leader. That this group loves Deshaun Watson. They love his leadership. They love his style. They love his vibe. And as Clowney told me, he's not going to say a whole lot. When he does, it matters. But he is going to lead by example, and he is going to do the things that make people want to follow him in terms of his skill and his production and his just the style about the way he handles his business. So I think that's one thing. And the second, I said, the ease of it all.
Yeah, it's just...
It doesn't look hard. Doesn't look like we're working and grinding for every little inch. It looks easy, and that is a departure for this organization. And you know, there are times when we've been clicking. People say, "Oh yeah, second half of 2020, no doubt were we clicking." And sometimes we've had drives where it looked easy, but I'm talking about just the body requirement, the torque it takes to just throw the football, everything about it. And, you know, I think you'll hear some of the guys, it wouldn't surprise me if some of the guys say that in their things today, because when I've talked to the players, that's one of the things that has jumped out. It just he throws the ball so it's effortless. Everything is easy, slick. Just a flick of the wrist, and it's very accurate. And I think, look, we don't know what the case is going to be ultimately in terms of how many games Deshawn Watson is going to play. When he does, we are going to be very, very good. We have a great defense, and like Clowney said, they're back here with a goal, and that goal is as high as it gets in this profession, which should be every team's goal, but it feels realistic.
Yeah, that's the difference. It's the one thing to think, and it's another thing to say, yeah, you got the horses to pull it off.
Yes.
And you've got the horses here to pull it off. The man in charge of all of that, captaining the ship, is Kevin Stefanski. You'll hear from him coming up next. We're off and running here on a First Friday edition. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. We're back in Beau here for my friends at Indy East 4th. Very excited to be part of the great story that is East 4th Street. And Indy has that big announcement. The Cleveland Rooftop Bar, located directly above Indy, is now open and just in time for summer. This weekend, Memorial Day, you're downtown. Go check it out. You will not be disappointed. They're serving up beer, wine, cocktails, light snack menu. They open at 3 o'clock on weekdays, noon on weekends, weather permitting, and brought to you by the owners of Char Whiskey Bar and Grill and Avo Modern Mexican. The Cleveland Rooftop Bar above Indy East 4th, the perfect place to celebrate downtown this summer. It's going to be a happening, man, to say the least. Here's your head coach, Kevin Stefanski, at the podium after today's OTA.
You're down 10 minutes.
Some really good moments for offense, defense, special teams. A ton to clean up, as you would expect when you're in OTA 2. So we're going slow. We're building the foundation as we have to do it. We got to take our time. But the guys are getting great reps, and it's great to have these moments. OTAs, you can make great strides. So just great to have this many guys here and working together. So really was a good day. Also, it's great, with COVID non-restrictions, if you will, to have the military out here today. And so we can celebrate them. We have a bunch of people who grew up in military families. Obviously Coach Prefer being a Navy man, so any opportunity we get to celebrate them, we're going to do that. Yesterday we had athletes from the Special Olympics out here, so it's great to see them. And then tomorrow we're going to invite some local high school coaches out here. So using these opportunities to highlight people in our community, which is really important. But again, really good day, and I'll take any questions that you guys have.
Like you're missing Miles and Batonio today?
Yeah, I think that's kind of filed under this is voluntary. We've never intimated that it's anything but voluntary. So the guys that are here obviously get good work out here with the coaches, but that's how we'll operate.
How is Deshawn looking, and does it seem like maybe those guys getting together a little bit, did they get a little jump? Do you feel like it's looking pretty decent so far?
Yeah, Deshawn had another good day. I thought it was really sharp yesterday as well. I think all of that work, Mary Kay, matters. I think the work that they do in this building together, the work they do outside the building, it all adds up. It's you've heard me say it before, it's added reps. So he's doing a nice job.
Kevin, if you've been your career with the Vikings, was there ever a time you had to incorporate 3 new quarterbacks into a team in the same offseason? And what challenges does that pose you and your quarterback staff?
I don't recall, Tony. I'm sure I'm thinking back to when we got Kirk Cousins, and I think Trevor Siemian was new, so at least 2 new guys to that year. I think it's all good work. I think all this work that we're getting out here, we're starting at the very basics of what we're doing. So the work we're getting done in that classroom is so important, and to teach 3 guys on the field, and we're getting really good questions from all 3 of those guys because it's new. So I think it's a benefit to have an off season as we have it, where we can go slow, we don't have to rush our installation. We can use up all these OTA days, all this mini camp, to make sure that we have a true teaching progression to how we do things.
Kevin, does Deshawn need to shake rust from not playing for a year? Do you think he's already?
I think it's a good question. I think he's doing that. I think anytime you're practicing, you're doing that, but certainly game speed and those type of things, that's something that will come in preseason games. But I definitely think it's for all these guys, they're shaking off an element of rust just from that break.
Kevin, how do you think he's handled what could be a pretty extreme distraction?
Yeah, I think Deshawn, like all of our guys, are professionals, and when they're here, we have a job to do, and we try very hard to, block out and leave outside, and make sure that we're focusing on the day-to-day tasks at hand when it comes to football.
Last night's HBO show really personalized things on many levels for a lot of people. Did you watch it?
I didn't.
Why did it?
I read about it. I would tell you, Tom, we did a lot of work on that. And as we've talked about, we've done a lot of work on Deshawn the person. And there's legal proceedings ongoing, there's an investigation ongoing, so I won't comment much further than that. But we understand, with respect to that, it's something that we're going to be dealing with as these proceedings go on.
Kevin, you have to line up someone for your first team drills, obviously, at every position. How much can, by the time you get to training camp, can that change from what we saw today?
I would say quite a bit, because we're trying different things in these OTAs. This is the time to move guys around, try different positions for them, things that they maybe haven't done in the past. So this is really a trial in a lot of ways, Tony. So I would say a lot can change.
You talk about getting Jadavian back and having him out here and just kind of what that could give to the defense.
Yeah, great to have JD back. He's a very active player, was very productive for us last season. He's very popular in this building, so having him in the meeting room and having him around the building, you felt his energy, and the guys were excited that he was here.
Kevin, Donovan Peoples-Jones, how would you talk about grade the progress he made last year, and what does he have to do this year to take another step?
Yeah, I think what you've seen from Donovan going into year 3, I think he does continue to take strides with regards to his body, very good understanding of our scheme and our system, so we're moving him around the formation quite a bit. So I think it's just more rhythming up with Deshawn, rhythming up with Jacoby and Josh, and understanding a little bit of how we're installing and adjusting a few things, just making sure that he's on top of those things.
So much is made about the wide receiver position and the depth that you guys currently have. Everyone keeps asking, are you guys going to add a number 2 guy? My question is, does it say more that you haven't done that yet about DPJ and Anthony Schwartz and how you guys feel about those 2 young guys and their abilities to fill that role for you?
Yeah, I don't know what it says, like you mentioned, but comfortable with those guys, comfortable with that room like we've mentioned before. We got a bunch of guys that can play different roles for us, have played good football for us, so feel good about that room.
Did you ever get nervous about Clowney being on the open market, or were you always confident you'd end up?
No, well, I think with free agency and all these things, you stay in constant communication, and you really can't tell when it comes to the marketplace how things are going to go. So I think Andrew and JD's crew stayed in close contact really throughout.
Kevin, can you explain a little bit about the basketball hoop out there and, kind of what is the idea behind that and what that's about?
It's out there to watch Anthony Walker brick shot after shot after shot. No, so that hoop, this is a true story. I bought that hoop at Dick's Sporting Goods in Minnesota maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So when we moved out here, I was living in these condos over here, so we got that hoop delivered to the condos. This is 2 years ago, COVID times. So we brought the basket and had it here in the parking lot. So me and the kids would come over here and shoot while we were living over here. And then when we ended up moving, we left the basket here. So that's my hoop. So don't break it, AWOC. But having it out here, it's amazing how much these guys love to shoot hoops. They just love it. And they don't care that it's on the grass. They don't care that the rim's bent and it's an old basket. They love that. So part of what that is, Mary Kay, is number 1, having fun. But number 2, just competing. Deshawn and Jacoby played knockout yesterday. So just to watch these guys compete, which is such a pillar of what we're trying to do here.
Even though,
Can we get you in a game with
Jacoby won. No, you can't.
Even though you said everyone's rusty at this point, it did appear that Watson takes almost every snap, at least today. Is that to reacclimate him after a year out?
Well, I mean, he's our starter, Tony, so I think we have a rotation there. I didn't count the exact number of reps, but Jacoby got his fair share of reps, and that's kind of how we operate.
Kevin, with Jadavian, I know at the end of last season, he said he felt like he was going into the offseason ahead of the curve, that he felt the healthiest he's been in a while. Just like, how important is that for a guy like him who struggled with injuries throughout his career, that he's coming into this season feeling pretty good after last season?
Yeah, I think it's, all these guys battle injuries at certain points of the season. Sometimes you're out a few games, sometimes it's one game, sometimes it's a quarter. But I think part of this game is working through those. Obviously, everybody feels healthy at this moment. We're not doing any contact out here, so we're trying to be smart about everything we do. But unfortunately, injuries are a part of this game, so we try to make sure that we're smart about the work we do, and then understand when you do get injured in varying degrees of severity, you got to work back to the field.
With that, virtually, I'm going to ask you about Kareem Hunt. He missed 9 games with injuries last year. How much did that curtail what you could do?
Well, Kareem's a good football player, so yeah, we missed him. We don't ever want to go a stretch without Kareem. He's been a very, very productive player for us in the run and the pass game. So excited for him to be healthy, getting some awesome work in right now.
Virtually everyone here, and we all know about Deshawn's situation, but it was taken to the national stage last night in a way it hasn't been. Did he address the team at all this week about any of it
Yeah.
through the air with what's out there on HBO?
Yeah, respectfully, I'm not going to get into really anything that we talk about inside. I'd kind of leave that to the team.
With your goalposts in repair or painting, is the kicker kicking at the stadium?
Kicked yesterday at the stadium. Yeah. So, and we're going to get down there quite a bit, Tony, with our battery, with our holders, and our long snapper and Cade. He'll get some opportunities to work out here. So, just the normal course of getting comfortable in our stadium, and got to get comfortable out here. We'll have plenty of opportunities to kick out here as well.
What do you like about
30.
Smart player, played in there a good bit for us last season. You got to be able. Intelligence is a premium when you're in there because you have to be able to fit the runs. You got to be able to pressure, play man, play zone. So he's a smart player. I think he's physically built to play inside or outside. So he's somebody that will continue to work in there, and really among a bunch of different guys that will work in there.
You're up.
All right, we will get into some of the comments Coach made there in terms of these day 2 of OTAs with the first media availability to be able to see all of this. We'll get into that coming up next. Greg Newsome at the top of the hour. Before we get to all of that, though, if a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK, Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I were to tell you in a day you could have the bathroom of your dreams, you'd probably say, yeah, I would. You could take that current bathroom, transform it into a spa-like experience with my friends at the Bath Authority, and they can do it for you in about a day at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is Cleveland's premier bath and shower remodeler. They have experts that are factory trained to install all of their stuff, and they're the best at it. The largest selection of bath projects. They're all made in the United States of America. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. If you want to do a tub-to-shower conversion, they can do that for you. Absolutely, they can. And if you give them a call right now at 216-220-8399, you get $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. Go to thebathauthority.com. And again, $500 off right now at 216-220-8399. Tell them Beau sent you. They will take care of you. I assure you of that. As we look back on 2 days of OTAs, you gave a little hint for the people there of some people who have caught your eye. So let's start on the offensive side. We heard from Coach Stefanski there. You'll hear from Greg Newsome in about 20 minutes. Offensively, as we kind of go through it, who are some names to maybe keep an eye on? Very early, clearly.
Yeah.
But who just maybe a little more there than we thought.
And just a little tidbit on in the quarterback room, obviously, Deshawn Watson. And the word that I go back to is easy. Everything looks easy. The ball is incredibly accurate. It comes out of his hands easy. His movement skills are very apparent. He is light on his feet, on these bootlegs, on some of the RPOs that they're doing. And his ability to really throw to every blade of grass, all levels of the field from multiple platforms, that really stands out. Jacoby Brissett comes in as a backup, and it's something that we've been spoiled with since Case Keenum was here. A backup who has started, who has won in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's big. He's much bigger than I really realized, and he's big on the field. He had a great play today where he rolled out to the right at the end of the first 7-on-7 period and threw a dime to Mike Harley Jr., who was the all-time leading receiver at the U, down the right sideline for a big touchdown that got the offense hooting and hollering. And so he looks good, and obviously we are very lucky to have a backup like that once again behind Deshaun Watson. But Watson, the word, just easy there. Going to the running back room. I saw more Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb on the field today for day 2 of the OTAs than I remember seeing certainly at this stage a year ago.
That was an attention getter.
Kareem looks great. His route, he had an angle route that he had a huge play in the 7-on-7 out of. In that particular formation, Chubb was in shotgun to the right of Deshaun Watson, and then Kareem was out in a bunch to the left, ran a choice route out of that, and had a big catch and run after it. So he looks good. Chubb looks just to be in incredible condition, as he always does. And then the guy who's kind of popping a little bit is Jerome Ford. Just from his burst and his straight line speed, he moves at a different speed, and I think it's readily apparent.
I was just going to say, because it's interesting, I don't know that there's anything that our fan base wants more than Chubb and Hunt together. Like, we get asked that all the time.
Yes.
And obviously when you do that, you are taking a receiver out of the play.
Sure.
The one thing that I think probably prohibited it from happening more, because when you have them both in there, what you want is you want the defense to worry about them both running, catching it. But you also for it really to work, you need the defense to be worried about the quarterback running. That's the way that it truly is the threat that stresses every inch of the defense. We have that now with Deshaun. Now you have an ability to run read option to either side, the RPO game, with either one of them going either way. From a defensive perspective, if I'm sitting there in the linebacker, I'm at safety, and I'm watching my keys, I'm watching my quarterback, and all of a sudden Deshaun can go left or right, and the guy flanking him is Chubb or Hunt either way, good luck. You want to talk about misdirection, hard to do better than that.
Yeah, and we had there was one play earlier where we did a fake inside handoff, then a bubble to the other running back who's on the other side, and then came back to Amari Cooper and kind of like an RPO type of a situation. There was another RPO where they ended up hitting Jakeem Grant down the field as well. So you're right. There is so much versatility and flexibility in what you're going to do. Now, I will tell you that 13 personnel, still a part of what the Browns are going to do. 12 personnel, I feel like you're going to see more 12 than 13. Last year with the 3 tight ends, I don't think you'll see as much of that, but we still saw some of it. And then you're going to see a lot of 3 receivers, obviously taking advantage of Deshaun Watson. I think one of the things that, in talking to Coach Stefanski about Deshaun, and I don't believe it was brought up in that press conference, but something that I asked him was, this was a guy who in Houston was primarily in the shotgun, but actually really likes being under center. And so we're not going to lose a lot of our under center game that has been a staple of what we do. And I think that's a great thing that he has comfort in it and that he likes to still be under center. So that's another kind of a wrinkle there. But from the running backs, look, we know who Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Dearness Johnson are, and we're very happy about that. Jerome Ford looks really, really good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Demetric Felton, I think, is in a bit of a fight because he's working exclusively as a running back. So he was not playing any receiver. He worked exclusively as a running back. And we've heard that was going to be the case. There's no way that more than 4 running backs make this roster. 0.
No.
And you'd think 3 in a practice squad probably makes the most sense, but you might end up having to keep 4.
Yeah.
So there's a battle there that's a brewing. There's no doubt. Battle brewing at the running back position.
Yeah, certainly. As you shifted to the receiver, this is the position that I think most Browns fans are wondering if more is coming. And you've been pretty adamant, and our coaches have been adamant that they're very comfortable with where we are. Andrew Berry had said that they really wanted this full team in order by mini camp, so obviously we're getting closer to that. What did you see from the young receivers? Obviously, Amari's Amari.
Tremendous route runner, and we've heard that. One of the best in the league, but when you get to go out there and watch him run these routes, watch his ability to find space and then catch the football, that stands out. Donovan Peoples-Jones has already, as he was in here with us yesterday, developed a nice rapport with Deshaun Watson, and they continue to make plays together. And then some guys that stood out. Mike Harley Jr., that was a big-time catch from Jacoby Brissett down the sideline. He's a guy that Chad O'Shea likes. He's a guy that Chad O'Shea, all-time leading receiver at the U. We know we had the benefit of an extra season to do that, but that's not an accident. And he looks like a guy who knows how to get open and catch the football, and reminds Chad O'Shea, I think, of what Jamarcus Bradley brought to this football team a couple of years ago as a guy who's a developmental player but understands the offense, understands what he needs to do, and has an opportunity, I think, to compete for the practice squad here and then hopefully someday earn his way up to the roster. David Bell plays a lot faster than his time speed. When you watch him out there, he definitely does. He had a great catch obviously on air on a bomb from Watson, but he knows how to get open and he catches the football very effectively. He had one that you wanted to see him catch today that he wasn't able to come up with for the most part, very much as advertised, but plays a lot faster, and you can see he has an extra gear when the ball's in the air.
And that's why I think that when you did the Anquan Bolden, I think you've seen the Jarvis replacement talk. Both of those guys, both Anquan and Jarvis, fell in the draft because of how they were timed in the 40. But the funny thing about watching Anquan at Florida State or watching Jarvis at LSU is that you don't remember that ever being a problem with them getting open. And the reality is that when both got to the league, it wasn't a problem there either. So I don't think it'll be a problem for David Bell.
I don't think it will be either. And, one of the funny, interesting things about it, I was kind of looking up, and he's a guy that the Browns have pegged to play inside, is that his numbers from the combine are really not that dissimilar from Cooper Kupp or Hunter Renfrow, who are 2 guys that were drafted in about the same spot, right, 3rd round, who have gone on to be incredibly productive receivers in the National Football League. And Cooper Kupp just won the Triple Crown. I'm not suggesting David Bell's going to be Cooper Kupp. That would be, really lofty expectations for him. But Cooper Kupp was a guy that was able to come in and make an immediate impact because of his ability to get open. And he's not the fastest guy in the world, but Cooper Kupp typically is able to run away from people. And so we'll see how that happens. And I remind you that David Bell averaged over 20 yards a catch against some of the best defenses in the Big Ten just 1 year ago. So I think that he looks as you want to see. Now, you mentioned the wide receivers, and you mentioned that they like what they have, and it is true. Will they still be pleased with what they have come the middle of training camp? That's the question. And that hinges upon Anthony Schwartz. Now, Anthony Schwartz made a nice catch today on an inward breaking route, like a dig. So you want to see that. We know that he's got the vertical speed. They had, in one of the walkthroughs, they had a reverse in there for him today. So they know they want to try to get him the ball in space and take advantage of his speed. But I think that's the one. If Anthony Schwartz can progress between now, as they expect him to, between now and the middle of training camp, I don't think we'll see an addition in the receiver room. If Anthony Schwartz is not on that trajectory, that's when I think the Deshaun Jackson, Will Fuller, T.Y. Hiltons of the world, who are veteran speed guys, that's when I think maybe they come into the mix a little bit.
He will be given every opportunity to do that.
Every opportunity.
And I do think it is fair for him to be given that opportunity. It is also fair for those of us to question if he's able, because I didn't see a lot last year to lead me to believe he's got a long way to go to be that, based on what we saw last year from him. But a lot of times guys make a huge leap between year 1 and year 2. So if it's in there and they know the speed's there,
And
now's the time for it to come.
The other guy I'll mention in the context of the wide receiver room, and he's had one nice catch out there, but he just moves at a different speed than everybody else, is Jakeem Grant. Maybe because he's small, but in some of the special teams kick drills, his jukes, he can leave people just like in the dust, and then he is gone. He is a special athlete in his ability to change direction and to just move at a rate of speed that feels like you're listening to a podcast on 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
Like that's how he appears to move at all times. So he's definitely stood out, but obviously much more in the return game than as a wide receiver at this point.
And so we get to the offensive line. And Jack obviously not involved here. No more J.C. Treader. So you're seeing some new faces there. Anything jump out to you up front?
Well, just kind of the way that they're going about it. So without Jack, Chris Hubbard, and I got a chance to talk to him and said it was great to see him back out there, and he's thrilled to be out there. Chris Hubbard is your starting right tackle right now. James Hudson's your second-team right tackle behind him with Alex Taylor being your second-team left tackle. I think Jed Wills looks to be in excellent condition. And this is the time of year where you hear, best shape of life. Okay, we want to see you play. But Jed's battled injury last year.
Yeah.
You hope that he's healthy. But he looked really, really good to me. Wyatt is in incredible shape. And I was watching them do this drill where they're on their knees and they push the sled, 2 of them at once. And Teller was moving at like 4 yards. And you're just like, what is the deal? Just absolute beast. So from the line standpoint, it's tough in these situations. Yeah. They're mostly doing drills. In the team drills, everything was very much kind of jog speed. It was not an actual team drill. There are no pads on. There's nothing on. So you can't really block.
Yeah.
So it's hard to see. But what I'm more just positionally, it's nice to see Chris Hubbard back, a guy who's played some very good football for the Browns over the years. And I just think Jed looks great. We know Nick Harris, the work he's put in. Wyatt looks good. We haven't seen Joel, but it is also nice to know that don't have Joel Bitonio. Oh, Blake Hance can go in there. Michael Dunn can go in there. Guys that we've seen play for this football team and play at high levels as well. So the depth is there. Ethan Posick at center. You just feel pretty good about the depth that you have overall for this team, especially once Conklin gets back and gets healthy.
The thing that we're so far out, it's hard to make too much of this. But the one thing that I think most Browns fans that you can count on by the time we get into the season is that it felt like at times we had to manufacture looks the last couple of years.
Easy.
You won't have to do that anymore. I think that what you will get is the full range of what Stefanski's offense can provide. And if you're curious what that looks like when done at the highest level, the reality is it hasn't happened that often where an elite talent played in this type of system. Oftentimes you're trying to lift up. Right, is typically what happens just out of happenstance. I don't know why it is that way.
Matt Ryan's probably the best.
That's where I was going. That's the best example of a big-time player in this system.
And he won the MVP.
And they were up 28-3 in the Super Bowl. Elway early in his career, but that was the end of his career with Terrell Davis. But there haven't been a whole lot of instances where elite talent at that position in this type of offense. And that should be pretty scary.
Yeah, and I would say even last year, because McVay runs very much a version of this. This is all in the same family as Matt Stafford going there, and that was the difference that took them to winning a Super Bowl, was getting that kind of a quarterback in that system. And
that's really good one, because they could do things they couldn't previously do.
Absolutely not. And yet, neither Stafford nor Matt Ryan have the mobility skills and play extending skills that Deshaun Watson does. And Deshaun Watson, while he doesn't have the arm per se that Matt Stafford does, can attack the field at every level.
The other thing that neither of those teams had is they did not have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and they did not have this offensive line.
And they did.
So, I guess that's why when you think about what this could be, understand that typically this offense lifts up where there is a talent, where the talent is not maybe what it needs to be or at the top of the league. Now, top of the league talent running this offense is pretty scary.
Yeah, and real quick, I want to go to the tight ends because David Njoku not here while he's working to get his new deal done on the franchise tag. I want him to be here badly, and I understand why he is not. I think that the more reps he can get in, the better, and he was down in the Bahamas, which was great to see. But I think, this offense, you look at the last year Deshaun Watson played on a team that had Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins and Brandon Cooks and all those guys. He get 800 yards out of the tight ends, which were Fells, who used to be here, and then another guy who is not really a productive tight end. I think he has a real opportunity to become a star in this offense. Now, while he is not here, what does that mean? Everybody bumps up one, right? So your number one tight end has been Harrison Bryant. And Harrison, we know what a productive receiver he was in college, and we know that, in his 2 years in the league, 3 touchdowns a season, runs routes very naturally. He seems to already have a connection with Deshawn. The guy that has stood out to me personally, 2 people in the tight end room, number one for the productivity, Miller Forristall is making plays every single day. And I think that the Browns feel very good about him actually as their number 3 tight end. And they've been very pleased with the progress that he has made from last season to this season as a first-year player out of Alabama. And so I think Miller Forristall, if you said over the top first 2 days of the OTAs, which guy has caught your eye the most on offense in terms of somebody that you were not going to watch?
Yeah.
Like that I wasn't expecting to say, oh, it's been Miller Forristall. I think he's had an excellent couple of days. He's been great in the red zone. A couple of the passes that are going around on social media in the back of the end zone, like a perfect dime from Deshawn Watson. It's to Miller Forristall. And so he's made some plays. And then the other guy that I'm intrigued by is Marcus Santos Silva, who was the basketball player at Texas Tech. He catches the ball very naturally, and he moves very well. And so watching him, I could see today in a couple of the drills they were doing, saying, okay, this is a guy that with some seasoning, like there might be something here in this ball of clay. Because some guys you see who maybe aren't as familiar with playing football, they kind of fight the ball to catch it. He catches it very, very easily, very naturally. And so that kind of jumped out to me about him. Now, he's not out there making plays in the team drills and the 7-on-7s every single play. Like Forristall's been making a ton, which goes back to why I think the middle of the field is back for the Cleveland Browns. But he stands out just as an athlete and just by how natural, honestly, he looks catching the football.
Well said, sir. Tickets for all Cleveland Browns home games are on sale now. For more information, visit clevelandbrowns.com. We'll check out the defensive side, guys who have caught Z's attention here in the first couple of days coming up in the second hour. You'll also hear Greg Newsome at the podium. In fact, that's coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. A lot of bad advice out there about gambling, from secret methods to picking lottery numbers to betting big when you're on a roll. These myths can lose you money and get you in a lot of trouble. So before you wager, find out what's real and what isn't at keepitfunohio.com. And now here's quarterback Greg Newsome in his post-practice meeting with the media. Let's have a look.
You're down.
The full offseason. Great. Rookie last year, got a draft right to here. So what's that like, that first NFL offseason?
It was great. I was able to travel a little bit, take a little breather. Obviously, going in as a rookie, you're doing, you just finished the bowl game, then you got to go train, then you got the combine, then you got to come to. So I was able to skip all that and just focus on some of the things that, I needed to focus on. But I was able to most definitely be able to be with my family a little bit more and just chill a little bit before, I ramp it back up.
When you look back on last year, were you tired after all that, what you just described, the season, the bowl game, training, the combine, all that? Were you kind of tired when you got here?
No, not really. I kind of trained myself like that to be able to endure anything. So, obviously, I was a little exhausted, but it was nothing that I couldn't handle. And I think Northwestern prepared me for that. Our practices were hard all the time, so I think they helped me prepare for this moment.
Greg, I know you played every, outside, inside last year. So how do you feel about that being a big part of your role?
Oh, I'm comfortable with it. I think it's a benefit towards me. I'll be able to be around the ball a lot more. So I'm definitely liking the inside. It's gonna be fun. I think I will be able to make some more plays, get some sacks and things like that. So I'm definitely embracing that new role.
You touched on it a little bit. What do you think about your skill set makes you kind of an ideal fit there?
Yeah, I just think like coming into the draft, like I said, I think I can fit to any scheme. I think I'm a very smart player, so nickel's one of the hardest positions in football, and you have to be intelligent and able to, in order to, play that position. So I just think with my body type a little bit bigger, I'm agile, I can move, I can guard those smaller receivers, so I think I'll definitely be fine in the nickel.
We talked to you about Deshawn a couple months ago, and now you've been around him a little bit more. What are your impressions of him as a teammate?
Yeah, great leader. Obviously, I haven't been able to have too many conversations with him, but I could just tell it's a different aura about him, and you could tell he's a great leader. Comes in the building, works every single day. You could tell by this offense. I think they're looking great right now. But that's the first thing I can say. He's a great leader, a great person.
I'll take it back where they put their first pick. They took a corner and added Jerome. I think a lot of people were surprised by that. Just what was your reaction to that? What type of impact do you think that had?
You can never have enough great corners. Obviously, they've seen him, and how he's been working out here. He's been doing great. So I wasn't taken back at it at all. You gotta, if you're not trying to get better every year, then you're not trying to win. So they're just trying to add some more talent to the secondary, and I think it'll definitely be good because you don't know what could ever happen with corners. As you've seen, we had games where me and Ward both didn't play, and guys had to step in. So you can never have a room, a corner room with enough talent. So he's been doing great, though.
Greg, I saw Jadavian Clowney was over there kind of holding court with you guys a little bit every lap. So how happy are you to have JD back, and what's it like to have him?
I'm super excited. It makes my job easier. So I definitely, I'm super excited that he's back. He's he has an aura about him too. He's a big, energetic guy. I would say he's kind of like the big brother, but you're able to relate to him as well. He relates to us well. So we're definitely excited to have him back, and he was definitely great for us last year, and he's looking to do even better things this season.
Did you always think he was coming back, or was making it sweat a little bit with his weight?
Nah, I thought he was coming back. Yeah. Especially when we got Deshawn. Obviously, he put the pieces together and things like that, and just how successful he played last season, playing alongside Myles Garrett. So, and he sees what we're trying to build here. And I think everyone sees it, and that kind of shows you that he knows that we have something special on this team, so he wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, you also told us a couple months ago that you're comfortable with Deshawn as a person, and now we've all gotten more information from HBO gets recorded and such. You still feel that way?
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen. I know a lot of people said it was a video or something. I haven't seen it, but from the locker room, he comes in here, he blocks out all the outside noise, and you know, my relationship with him right now is fine. He's been great, like I said, a great leader. He's going to help this team win. And, yeah, I can't really comment on the video last night because I wasn't able to watch it or anything like that. But, yeah, he's been great so far.
Has he ever addressed any of the legal situation and everything that's going on from that standpoint with either you individually or the team as a whole?
Nah, and I don't think that's, you know, any of our business. His job in here is to play football. And, you know, when he comes in this building, his job is football, not to tell us about his personal matters. He leaves those outside, and he handles those with his family. And when he comes in this building, we're all about the work.
Last year, I asked you about what the point of emphasis was for you. What's it look like for you heading in here? It's early, but what's the point of emphasis for you heading into this?
I think it's the same thing, and obviously now I'm going to be inside a little bit more, so it's just to pick up, you know, some things inside. As I said, it's a very challenging position, so just to get more comfortable playing inside, and just same thing, just taking the ball away. I wasn't able to take any of them away last season, so that's definitely still going to be my main priority.
Greg, talking about inside, is there anybody you can lean on, or anybody you plan on like reaching out to, just given the nuances of playing more slot than outside?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm still going to be talking to Troy Hill. I still talk to him all the time, and even though, you know, their defense is different, he can still give me some pointers. So that's definitely somebody I'll still be talking to for sure.
How do you guys build on? It's toward the end of last season, on your side of the ball, things were really coming together collectively, self-individual, collectively as a unit. So every year is a new year. But how do you kind of carry that momentum that you guys, the chemistry that you see perform, that carries that part?
Yeah, I think that's easy. You know, when you have a second year with another group, and pretty much I feel like we're the same. I think we're returning pretty much the same people besides Troy. That chemistry just sticks. Like when you bond with people, when you spend a lot of time with people every single day. Now for the second year, I think that's the easy part. It's just putting it all together and focusing on some of those areas that we weren't so great at. We did some great things last season, but we had some negative things in our game too. So we're definitely trying to focus on those and trying to get those better.
What was your reaction when Denzel got his contract extension, and have you tried to parlay that into some perks for you and the rest of the secondary?
No, I didn't try to parlay it. I mean, obviously I make some jokes like, you owe me a car or something, but he's obviously not going to do that. But no, I was super excited for him. I mean, as soon as I seen it, I called him right away. He didn't answer right away. He called me back 5 seconds later, just a big smile on his face. But, you know, that's my brother. I'm super excited for him. And, you know, now we'll be together long term, hopefully. So that's very exciting. He's a great player. I think he's the best in the league right now. So being able to play alongside him and just learning from him for the next 4 or 5 years, hopefully the next 10 years, 12 years, will be amazing.
Greg, this is a not too serious question, but Kevin Stefanski put a basketball hoop out there for you guys. It looks like you're having a lot of fun with that. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, what can that do just in terms of kind of lightening the mood and maybe you guys having a little fun with something like that?
Yeah, I think that just shows you his approach to this team. He wants it to be a player-led team. So being able to have the players come together, play a little knockout, just have fun with each other. Obviously, when we're on the field, it's all serious, but, you know, you got to kick back sometimes, just have fun and just enjoy the life. Like, there's not too many people that can say they're an NFL player. So, you know, you have to enjoy that every single day. And I think having a basketball, you know, hoop outside is just showing, you know, that we need to lighten up a little bit after practice.
Who have you beaten so far?
I ain't played nobody, but, I mean, I'll probably beat I'm probably the best basketball player on the team. So.
You were probably asked this, but life inside in the slot, what's it been like and what are you looking at?
Fun. The slot is fun. You know, you got help. I feel like you got a lot more help. Outside, you know, there's some games where they put everybody on that side and it's just me and him. So, I mean, playing in the slot, you know, you got more help and you're around the ball more. So I think my production and, you know, I'll be able to make a lot more plays in the slot. I'll get a few blitzes. So, I mean, there's some things that I'm definitely looking forward to playing.
Traffic in the middle of the field.
Oh, yeah. You said the traffic?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some obviously big guys in there. You know, I ain't really too worried about that. I got my guys up front to handle the run. Obviously, I'm in some of that stuff, but, you know, I'm not really too worried about that. I got guys, you know, that's there for me too, so I'm not really too worried about that.
You guys aren't going to play a game for another 3.5, 4 months here. Long way to go before the season. Just as a young player, what is your approach to this time of year? As far as improvement, what are you trying to accomplish? How do you handle it? I mean, understandably, it might get a little monotonous because, again, September's a little ways away here. So how do you make yourself better during these type of practices?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to first just think, what is our goal as a team? And that's to, win a Super Bowl. So obviously there are things that get monotonous, and, you have to go through those things. But I feel like at DB, everything's monotonous. Like, you have to go backpedal, you have to break, you have to catch the ball. Like, those are things that you have to do. So if you kind of have that approach and just attack every day and realize what the end goal is, then, we'll be fine.
Back in 30.
Win a Super Bowl. And, I feel like those Super Bowl teams, they take this serious. So we have to be one of those teams to take this serious.
Are you a little heavier, bigger this year at all?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be a little bigger just playing inside. I want to have a little more armor, so I am going to probably play like 194 and 95 pounds. Like 3. Played like 192 last season.
You're up.
Guy's a stud, man. Going to be a big one in year 2 for him. You can feel it.
I love Greg Newsome.
Yep.
And I think Greg Newsome is going to become, by the end of this year, a household name around the National Football League. That's how good I think Greg Newsome is, and how good I think he is going to be this season. He going inside with Denzel, greedy outside, MJ Emerson, as well, working outside AJ Green. He has an opportunity, as you said, to play kind of like that star position, and be the guy in this defense that makes a lot of plays. And I think he has a real opportunity this year to take a monster leap. Not that he needs to, because he was that good last year.
This from Mike McCarthy, covers sports and media, did it for USA Today for a long time, and just had this interesting tweet. Now, you tell me what is interesting to you, because I tend to agree with sports TV ratings on this one. McCarthy tweets out, the NFL continues to separate itself as the most popular and powerful property in entertainment. For the first time, Sunday Night Football on NBC more than doubled the TV viewership of Hollywood's top scripted TV show, Kevin Costner's Yellowstone. Is it more remarkable to you that the NFL doubled up Hollywood's number one scripted TV show, or the fact that Hollywood's number one scripted TV show is on Paramount Network? Because that, to me, is the more substantial.
Definitely the second.
That's
the
crazy.
Latter. Yeah.
In an era when it still matters to be on network, that the most watched is on a channel that up until that show was on it, I don't know if people knew it existed.
Yeah, no.
That's pretty remarkable. The number one thing out of Hollywood is on Paramount Network is that show Yellowstone.
It is stunning. The NFL's domination, not stunning at all.
That we could see coming. Speaking of things we could see coming, I believe we had this on Lamar Jackson over in Baltimore. We'll get to that around the league coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Business is shopping for an enterprise operating partner, but you don't know where to begin. Well, I do, and it's my friends at EOX Vantage. They're data scientists, also business operations experts. Your EOX Vantage team is going to build and install your system. They act as your ongoing tech support as well. You're hiring a continuous improvement and support system. EOX Vantage is not tied to any single brand or hardware or software. You're getting a truly customized, purpose-built solution along with a partner that answers only to you. And EOX Vantage does not outsource. All the operational expertise, proprietary solutions, and tech support come from one unified partner. And you can see how companies have profited from hiring one fully objective operating systems partner at EOXVantage.com. We have been hinting at this for a while with Baltimore. Sometimes I feel like we're the only ones talking about it.
I agree.
We start talking about it at the Combine. It just didn't feel right. It
No.
just didn't feel right. And now we get these comments from John Harbaugh today where he says that he's going to leave it up to Deshawn Watson to address with Lamar Jackson to address with the media why he's not at OTAs. That doesn't seem great.
Doesn't seem great at all. I mean, it could easily just said, hey, this is a voluntary thing, and Lamar is committed to being our quarterback, and we're all good with that. But the fact that they don't have a deal done, the fact that everybody's saying, oh, we're going to get it on Lamar's time, and wide receivers don't want to play there. And Hollywood Brown and Lamar were very good friends there. Very good friends. Doesn't want to play there. If they wanted to make a commitment to him, and I think they're in a tough spot because he is an incredible quarterback. He is an incredible weapon. 2 years removed from being the MVP of the league. I think that's it, right? Isn't it just 2 years ago that he was the MVP of the league? Or maybe 3. It was within the last 3 years he was the MVP of the league.
It was 2 years ago, wasn't it? The COVID year runs together.
I think the year that
year before COVID.
Yes. So in 19.
So 3 years ago.
ago.
Now 3 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Year before COVID. Yeah.
But in this NFL and in this conference with these teams, does his skill set match up with what you need to do to make the full run through the playoffs? And I think that's a question they're asking themselves. He's got to be on some level unhappy with the way things are going down there. And the reality is you do not have receivers who want to play football there. And it is a league in which you must compete throwing the ball. You can draft first-round receivers every year all you want.
Yeah.
But if they want to leave before they're even done on their rookie deal, Hollywood Brown's coming off a year where he just had career highs in catches and yards, and he's like, get me out of here.
I'm out. I'm done.
I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And handled it didn't make it public, anything like that, and obviously was accommodated, and they got a good deal back, I thought, from the Arizona Cardinals. But this is a situation that has not felt right to us since we were at the Combine, and you kind of heard the way people were talking about it. Nothing about it made a lot of sense, and it doesn't feel like it's headed to a great resolution. Now, it may be. They may say, you know what, we're rolling with you. Here's the offer. He says, great, I'm in. But just every narrative about it coming out of that building feels odd to me.
I agree.
And today would be one more step in that direction.
Yeah, I think it's really complicated because what he's worth to them versus what the market is for franchise quarterbacks are two very, very different things. And he's such a different person to evaluate his worth, right? Because of everything you laid out. So it's really tricky for them. And he's immensely popular and immensely accomplished. So it's a tricky spot they're in. And it's a tricky spot he's in because he wants to maximize his value. Right now, he might want to go the Cousins route, prove it on a franchise tag the next couple of years, and then maximize again. Maybe that's in play. I don't know. But it is weird. It's all odd to me.
Yes.
Feels like he wants a long-term deal with the guaranteed money similar to what Deshaun got. And they feel unwilling to do that. And so here's where you are. But it ain't great.
No. And I do think that line from Harbaugh, and maybe it was innocuous. But it doesn't feel innocuous because the innocuous out is this is a voluntary thing, and we know Lamar's working to get better for the season, and he'll be here when it's mandatory. We can't not. You'll have to ask Lamar, which indicates to me some dissatisfaction from the coach that he is not there.
Yeah, agree. This is interesting from Kyle Shanahan on Jimmy Garoppolo. Nothing has changed since that surgery. This is the part that's interesting. I expect him at some point most likely to be traded, but who knows? That's not a guarantee. It's been exactly on hold when that happened. When he's healthy, we'll see what happens. I kind of was getting used to the idea of maybe Jimmy Garoppolo playing this year in San Francisco. But this doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like he's moved on.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way either. I think Jimmy got pissed at the way that at the kind of the end of the season he was talked about, despite what he did, playing through the injuries he played through, leading them to the NFC Championship, and by the way, making some big plays that got them there down the stretch of games. And he's just going to be, he knew the writing was on the wall. Obviously, when you give up 3 ones to go get Trey Lance, like that's indicative that he's going to be your guy. And I think the surgery, in some ways, having it when he did, was kind of his way of sticking it right back to them.
Yeah.
And it does feel like there's some beef there on both sides now where there probably wasn't any. And really, frankly, there shouldn't be. In the last 2 full seasons, the guy played quarterback for that franchise. They went to the Super Bowl and should have won it, frankly. They did not, and went to the NFC Championship game. The year that he got hurt, they were not good.
Not good. No. The crazy thing is and it's similar to the thing with Baker where you try to find a landing spot, and the only ones I could think of, I was thinking about this morning, what would make sense. The only place I could come up with was Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Those are the only 3 places. You start going around the AFC, it's just not. It's either young quarterbacks who are most recently drafted or franchise guys already in place when you think about NFC. And from an NFC standpoint, I'm sorry, I can only come up with those 3 that would seem to be of some interest, and some of them drafted quarterbacks.
I don't think Atlanta's in play. They've got Mariota, and they drafted Desmond Ritter, and they're not going to be good.
No, feels like they're trying to get C.J. Stroud.
New Orleans is aren't they giving like $14 million to Jameis?
But it's just a 1, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean
they're not. I think they're in a position to stay flexible. Like I wouldn't be. They would be. Like if you put Garoppolo on that team, they get a lot of weapons. That could be pretty dangerous in the NFC South. But I don't know what assets they have to give up to get him.
I just don't see them making that move either. I don't either. It doesn't feel like something that they would do. And Jameis was, 5-2 as a starter last year? I mean, he played well for them. So I think that they're set. Carolina, makes sense. But Carolina now
– they just drafted Matt Corral, didn't they?
And traded up to draft Matt Corral in the 3rd round. So it feels like they're out. Peter Schrager was saying today that they have – he said Carolina feels like the only spot for Baker Mayfield still, but they don't have any interest. Now, the team that – absolutely has a need, and that Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo especially would both be massive upgrades, is Seattle. I don't see any way, shape, or form that the Niners are sending Jimmy Garoppolo to Seattle. And Seattle, as up until this point, has said that they have no interest in Baker Mayfield. So it feels now like Garoppolo's best chance of playing might actually be in San Francisco. And Baker, I don't know, as we sit here today, if there is a starting job for a day 1 starting job for him.
I think the only one that would be, you mentioned the 2 that would be most logical, which would be Carolina and Seattle. Those would be the only 2. And Carolina feels like they've addressed it in other ways. And Seattle, I mean, you can't convince me that they're good with Drew Lock and Geno Smith unless they are very clearly trying to go 1-16 and draft C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. That seems, and that's fine. I respect that. That's a plan, at least.
Yes.
That makes some sense. This also from the NFL today. They're going to launch their own streaming service. This from Ben Fisher, the Sports Business Journal. The NFL is going to launch the streaming service. It'll be NFL Plus. It'll sell the service for roughly $5 a month. Fisher, the service will provide access to live games on mobile phones and tablets only. So that's a significant thing right now, not an ability to put it on your television. Not Sunday Ticket, however. Fans will be limited to the games they otherwise could see on local TV. Previously, Yahoo and some mobile phone carriers made these games available for streaming purposes. Other content on NFL Plus could potentially include radio, podcasts, miscellaneous team-created content.
So this would be a solution for people who have traditional cable, because if you have, for example, I have YouTube TV, I can already stream the games that I would be getting in my home onto my phone or my tablet.
Well, and
so
I have traditional cable, and I can do that too.
So then maybe
I have a Spectrum app, and I just do it that way. My hunch is this is laying the groundwork for a much bigger play down the road. And
Sunday Ticket will end up being an app.
It'll end up being an app. Yeah, you'll pay $200 for NFL Plus, and you'll get the Sunday Ticket, or you'll get the Red Zone.
Yep.
And it'll be exclusively to that, and that will be more of a monetary boost for the league. Both of the 2, I suppose, presumed starting quarterbacks in Pittsburgh have interesting weeks this week. Mason Rudolph saying everything I want is still in front of me. I still have an opportunity to be a starter. I can't control what goes on the second floor, but I've been told that, and I'm excited to do my best to compete to be the guy. Everyone gets motivation from different places. I'd be lying if I said it didn't motivate. That's going to motivate any competitor. Mitch Trubisky said yesterday that the Steelers did not make him aware that they were going to draft a quarterback, and that was a surprise to him, which was pretty wild to say.
What?
Yeah.
Everybody knew they were drafting
Everybody knew they were
quarterback.
drafting a quarterback, right? Yeah. And then they draft Pickett, so they have all three of these guys. Seems like Pickett's the only one who knew all along what he was in for once he was drafted there. The other two believe, I guess, live in their own information silos. I don't know how you could avoid it.
Mitch, dude, you were a backup who got a 1 year, $2.5 million deal a year ago.
Right.
How awkward is that quarterback room?
Well, it's pretty awkward, but I don't love any of them.
No.
So listen, I'm old enough to remember when we were wondering who was going to have to trade up into the top 6 to draft Malik Willis, who went in the late third?
Right. Well, everybody had him going to Pittsburgh. I mean, everybody had him going to Pittsburgh. That seemed to make all the sense in the world.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, so that's where you stand over there. Omar Khan, by the way, officially announced today as the new general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Think of that organization that has had so little change. Same quarterback, same GM, same coach, 20 years. Same coach, new quarterback, new GM this year. And a lot of talk that there could be another Rooney being groomed to take over. As I want to say Art II is 70, so there's talk that there could be some movement there. So a big change and a lot of change over in Pittsburgh. All right, coming up next, AFC North projected starters from Greg Rosenthal. We'll get to that plus Z's thoughts on what he saw from the D today. What jumped out? You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family-owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Earlier in the show, we talked about some of the highlights that stood out offensively. There were plenty of highlights defensively as well. And, of course, Jadavian Clowney back and running around is pure joy. Who else caught your mind? You want to start up front and then work our way to the back, my friend?
Yeah, why don't we do that? And we'll start up front on this defensive line. And for now, the Browns today, obviously Myles Garrett was not out there today. Your defensive line, your first rotation had Clowney and Chase Winovich at the ends. It had Taven Bryan and Jordan Elliott in the middle. Your second team had Stephen Weatherly and Alex Wright at the ends, Day and Togiai in the middle. And then when you get to third team, you got a little Perry on Winfrey action in the middle of this defense. And so this is a group that obviously having Myles there changes everything, right? Like he is, if not the best, he is certainly one of the top 3 defensive players in the NFL and one of the top 2 at the very lowest defensive ends in the league, or edge rushers, along with probably TJ Watt in our own conference, which why when we decided we're going to do the AFC North team, like you already have your ends, they're set. It's as easy as it gets, and your honorable mention is going to be pretty good there as well. So this is a defensive line you feel good about. Alex Wright, I think, gets to be brought along more slowly. I think Winovich, people are going to love watching the way that he plays. Again, it's hard in these situations to really assess the defensive line, right? They're jogging through the team portions. There's no real pass rush going on. The meat of the work that is being done amongst the back 7. So let's go to the linebackers. I think right now they are counting on a big season from Jacob Phillips, or would like to see a healthy Jacob Phillips.
I hope
and it's
so.
every
just
year.
Once. I mean,
so long, so
when
productive.
He has played, it's
whenever he gets on the field, he's been productive.
Yeah.
Now, to have a top 3 of Anthony Walker Jr., Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Phillips, Taki, would be your number 4. They like that. Owusu-Koramoah looks great. He flies all over the field. Phillips is flying. There's just a lot of length and speed on this defense, and especially in this linebacker room. A couple guys, I think Tody Fields looks noticeably bigger than he did a year ago. Remember, he came in as kind of a light linebacker around 220. He looks to have bulked up a little bit, still good movement skills. He's getting some work in there with the second team at that corner, at the linebacker position, and so that's a guy that maybe you drafted last year that maybe takes a leap for you this year, and I think that's something that they would like to see. Willie Harvey. Now, you remember when we had John Johnson in here, he was talking about the best basketball players on the team, and he gave us a Willie Harvey. Well, on Building the Browns, you got to see him take a few shots. Sweet jumper. He looked great, and he's a guy that's been in our system, again, looking to make this team as a special teams guy more than anything, right? But somebody that is worth keeping an eye on at this point. And then you have Silas with the great mullet, who Coach Tarver, who we've talked about ad nauseum, absolutely loves ball. He likes us and thinks there's something there that this guy could develop into something. Practice squad, special teams, and he's interested to see what can become of him. But
Willie, by the way, could have got in the knockout game today and would have won with that jump shot based on what we saw today from the knockout game.
Okay, Willie Harvey's jumper was solid. Rich LeCount, who we had also heard about from John Johnson,
right?
In
Wasn't
the Browns.
He an All-State guy?
He's good, and you could just see he was talking trash as he was shooting and dropped one from like 30, which is peak LeCount. Yeah, both of those guys. Yeah, not the best knockout game we've ever seen out there today.
Not the best. No,
not the best.
No.
I think first shots from about the free throw line were about 5 for 70. Okay, with the good Browns, not great Cavs. That's fine. They're here to be Cleveland Browns. So that's kind of the linebacker room in a nutshell.
I think you and I could have hung in that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. As a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So that's kind of your look at the linebackers for now. And then we get into the cornerback room, and it's clearly a strength of this football team right now. And a guy that, from talking to the coaches, that they're actually excited about making a leap. We've talked already. Denzel and the big contract that he just received. You talk about Greg Newsome. You talk about Greedy Williams, who, by the way, is not wearing a shoulder harness right now, seems to be moving very well, and is, I feel like, poised for a great season. MJ Emerson's length stands out immediately when you see him out there on the field. He, along with A.J. Green, are 6'2" at the cornerback position. And then here's the guy that I want to talk about real quickly. Number 29, Herb Miller, was with the team a lot last year, was actually active for a few games, was on the practice squad a lot, traveled with us quite a bunch. 6'1", natural mover, when I was out there, I'm like, who's 29? And he had a hoodie on, so you couldn't see the back of his jersey to get the name. And it was Herb Miller, who is a guy that I think Jeff Howard is excited about. He thinks he has the ability to develop. So he stood out to me a little bit today. Didn't get to see much of, but Reggie Robinson, a third-year player, is somebody that we brought in. We waived because of a failed physical and then brought him right back a week later. And they think that he has some potential. He's got some good speed out there as well. So that's the guy you want to watch is Robinson, Motley, Miller. They're the ones competing, I think, for the final cornerback spot behind what is, I think, a pretty clear at this point, a pretty clear top 5.
Yeah, it sure is. And it's incredibly versatile. I like the anecdote you shared earlier about Denzel working on the inside a little bit. I think that's noteworthy. I think what you want out of this is, and you're going to get to the safeties in a second, it's an epitome of versatility, is you want an ability to make it confusing for quarterbacks by being able to change your look and have people all over the place and be able to confuse quarterbacks right before snap in terms of what you're doing. And that's the way this defense was built. It was built with that versatility at the forefront. And that versatility is on display already. So when the Browns are in a 2-safety look, your starting safeties are John Johnson and Grant Delpit. And Grant looks very much like a veteran. He is completely in command, it appears, of this defense and what he is doing. And so that obviously is a good thing. When you go to the dime, in comes Ronnie Harrison, who I know has gone through – this was not the offseason Ronnie Harrison expected. Let's put it that way. He is back with the Cleveland Browns, and I know that he knows he has an opportunity to make some plays here and to be a factor once again for this team. And I love that he's back. And then there's Rich LeCount, who we know has good instincts, still recovering, and he looks to be significantly healthier than the year before. He earned a lot of praise from Jeff Howard today with a couple of his breaks on the balls and a couple of his instinctual reads that he made back there, that he is able to play fast. So those are your top 4 safeties. Luther Kirk is also in the mix. Nate Meadors is also in the mix. But I think your top 4 safeties are pretty well defined with Johnson and Delpit, then Ronnie and LeCount, and then Ronnie coming in playing some of that dime when the opportunity presents itself. But the safeties look good. This is a pass defense that when you watch it, you say there is a lot of speed out there. There is a lot of length out there in this back 7, and their ability to cover, I think, is going to separate this Browns defense from a lot of other teams. Yeah, it's something that is the cool thing is if you think about how this defense came along, we've had several of the defensive players in here this offseason. John Johnson most recently. We talked about, when did it click? And a lot of people, that Bears game early, was able to get at Justin Fields. But then as it went, this defense got better and better and better. And how many times last year you said, my God, we scored 17 points. How many games do we win? Yes. So the defense was more than doing its part in a modern-day NFL, far more than. This defense is versatile. It is stingy. It's also playmaking. There's game wreckers on this defense who can take a pick and go the other way. Yes. And so it's really as versatile and aggressive as it needs to be for this NFL. Yeah, and for the Zegura and Friends podcast, Clowney was saying that he loved – it's been a while since he's been on a defense where the – Can I be on that someday with you? Of course. Yeah, you're a great friend.
How's next week sound? You want in?
Make your debut.
I'll give it to you.
You and I hop in.
Yeah. And he said when you have a back end like that as a pass rusher, it makes your job easier because you do have the opportunity for a quarterback to have to bat the ball for an extra second so that you can get around the edge and get a sack. So that back 7, the continuity there was something that was very appealing to him as well, as coming obviously to play with Myles Garrett, to play in a traditional 4-3 defense for the first time in his career and enjoy the success that he's had. But he loves this back 7. And I think when you watch it, you come away with, and it's not often, Gibbe, right? And for you as well, when we go to these camps that you're able to come away impressed with both sides of the ball. Often it's like, oh, man, the defense kicked the offense's butt, typically in these type of things. And then there'd be some days where the offense, you're like, oh, man, they lit them up. It was just both sides. You could see why you would be excited about both sides of the ball here in this offense. Give me a little on Martin Emerson, the Mississippi State kid, our highest drafted player, wearing 23. Did I see that right, out there? Yeah, got a little Joe Hayden endorsement for wearing it. Nice. He strikes a pose. Big dude. Big guy, 6'2", natural movement skills. Some of the techniques are a little bit different, and so you see Brandon Lynch off to the side working with him. And, it used to be it was Denzel and Greg that were over there last year, and now it's Denzel and Greg and Greedy and MJ Emerson getting kind of that extra technique work. But clearly a natural mover, knows how to get his hands on the football too. A lot was made about the only one interception in college. But plenty of PBUs, and he's already getting around the football. And so I think as he continues to learn this defense, continues to be able to play faster, he'll continue to stand out. But in terms of the ball of clay, they're very happy, and I think they're very happy with his early progress in this defense as well.
It's interesting. And again, you talk about 6'2", 210 or whatever. I
right.
think that's what you mentioned
yep.
there. That's pretty similar length, weight to Ronnie and Grant and John. And all those guys have a similar build and a similar look to them. Even our linebackers, JOK, and with the new number exchanges of people wearing numbers that aren't traditional, it's all about confusion, man.
And JOK looks great, and Phillips looks so long. He's so
the one,
long.
Man.
He is the one, but he's got to listen. His most important ability is availability, and so far that has been the struggle for him in his early career. But you see the speed that the Browns can have on the field when they have on their back seven, whether they go nickel, and you've got the three corners out there, and then you've got JOK and Phillips running together along with John and Grant on the back end, or when they went dime and Ronnie comes in with just JOK. And so you're saying to yourself, all right, we got three corners, three safeties, and JOK. We almost can be, in essence, positionless and can cover the field with anybody.
Yeah.
And that's pretty exciting to see that speed. And I know the defensive coaches are excited about that speed as well.
Jacob's a guy who you just when he's there, he just produces at such a high level. And if you ask, one of the quickest smiles you get in this building is ask somebody about Jacob Phillips.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of can he put it together and stay on the field, and if he does, this defense can be very, very, very real. What is the schedule from here like in terms of OTAZ? Do you know off the top of your head in terms of where we're headed?
Yeah, so you've got 3 this week, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 the week after that, or 4 the final week.
Yeah, you'll
Monday,
have 4.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
And then you have after that the mandatory minicamp, which is a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, June 16th to the 18th. And the media day for OTAs is always Wednesday.
Okay.
And in minicamp, is it every day?
It's all 3 days.
Yeah, it's every day in minicamp.
All 3 days at minicamp. So that we're going to have quite a bit of football here over the
get some nice content
month.
Here before we get into
a short break, and then we're right back at it.
Then,
right back in the mix.
Training camp at the end of July.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I want to remind you that tickets for all Cleveland Browns home games are on sale right now, and for more information, you can visit clevelandbrowns.com to be able to get that. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family-owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. So there you have it. We got 3 more weeks of this, and then you got the mini camp, and then we're good. So a lot of good work being done here. A lot of install. I think you're seeing the versatility being installed. Some of this stuff that's going around ought to get you excited if you're a Browns fan in terms of all the things that this offense can be, and quite frankly, what this defense could be.
It absolutely should be exciting to Browns fans. And I think when you come out here, as I said, you'll see the ease with which the ball is thrown around this offense. You'll see the ease with which this offense is going to be able to move the football. And then you're going to see the speed, the length, the versatility that this defense brings. And you're saying, we should have an answer for everything in the modern NFL. Bottom line, that's what this team has been constructed to do.
Yeah.
You know, offensively, the one piece that you're concerned about or that you're curious about is seeing, can we develop that vertical threat? Can Anthony Schwartz become that guy for us in the year 2022? And if the answer to that is yes, then I think you are complete offensive. If the answer to that is no, then I think you're going to have to maybe do something to try to address that for the season. Defensively, you've got it all.
Yeah.
You've got it all. And now, could you use another pure nickel? Sure. Would Troy Hill still be great on this football team? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But Troy Hill wanted to play, and frankly, the Browns felt that they were better on defense with Denzel, Greedy, and Greg Newsome in the slot. And so they gave him an opportunity to play. They picked up a pick for the future, but you still would like to see somebody that you feel comfortable with, you know, in that role. Because what I'm curious about, and we'll get there, we're seeing Denzel work inside, which means we're going to have the opportunity, I think, to have when Grant, Denzel, and Greg are Denzel and Greg are on the field together, you might not know who's going in the slot. Certain games, perhaps Denzel follows somebody inside,
sure,
and Greg goes outside where he's played so effectively. So I like that versatility. My question would be, if something happened to Greg, does that mean the next option for this team is that Denzel goes inside and now you have MJ
1 minute,
and Greedy
1 minute
on the outside? And that's something that I think will take time to develop and understand, but we'll see what those plans are for the Browns as they go forward.
Just building blocks being laid, guys.
Yes.
That's what's happening right now, but it's fun nevertheless. And when you see those videos popping around, you ought to be excited because the versatility of this team is real and it is substantial. We are back tomorrow for more fun. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.